again. We know this is what we're meant to do. So we wake up, put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warriors. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, once again, our weekly coffee shop conversation show. Thank you very much for joining us, wherever you may be in the world. Hello to the YouTube audience who's with us as well, and hello to our live contributors here today, who you'll be able to see. Looking forward to tonight's topic. We are doing growth strategies and how best to implement them to help grow and improve your business. So, without further ado, would anyone like to start us off with a growth strategy that they either might have implemented or their thoughts on how one can put them together? Oh, before I do that, I should probably say hello to Sondra, my co-host. Sorry, that's just great. It's not because it's all about me. I'm James Brown as well. Yeah, there we are. Great. I'll just absolutely get this wrong this evening. It's been one of those days. Cats, but that's another story. Sondra, hi.
Hi, James.
Please take on
yes.
short order.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm interested in this topic. As we can see, I'm still working on getting my voice back. We're going to do the best we can. But Peter, why don't you kick us off, please?
Yeah, I think growth strategies, it really depends on what your business is. I mean, you got to start somewhere with a baseline. So I think for every space it'll be different, but there are some things that are the same no matter what business you're in. And I think growth strategies, when we look at our spaces, when we're solo entrepreneurs and we're looking at growing and building our space, a lot of people have the mindset of, okay, now I've got to gain employees, I've got to go to the bank, I've got to get a loan, I've got to, there's all these things I have to implement, there's all these professionals I need to hire in the background. When the reality is that's not necessarily true. I think from a networking perspective, if you can strategically network, and not just general networking, but strategically network with people that you can solve their problems and they can solve yours, hence the fact that it's strategic networking, you can actually position people within your space to scale or create a strategy of growth based on the relationships that you build. And a lot of people think that's very pie in the sky, but we happen to have been able to prove that because our growth strategy at the moment is based on the people in our network. And a lot of the projects that we're stepping into, we could not step into without the people in our network. So I think strategic networking is just one of those ways of implementing a growth strategy by relying on the people around you and having them rely on you because you could possibly be their scaling solution or their growth strategy. So I think that's just one way to look at it without putting your hands into your pockets or into the bank's pocket and creating a space where you need to take loans, it's a good space to create that structure. And as you grow, if necessary, and the space is proven and it is working, then you're taking less of a risk. So I think networking, strategic networking, would be a great step in the right direction. Oh, sorry, Peter, from CEO, one of the co-founders of Explore ProTech.
I think we'd all probably agree with networking being a fairly important part of our marketing strategy, given that we're all here and we all met each other during one of the Explore ProTech networking events, one of many. And it certainly has become a very important part, I know, of many people's businesses, and it's grown to this rather fabulous community that you see in front of you today, and many more. Lesetha, no, sorry, Hendrik, you moved to the top left just at the right time there, and I know you were second. Hello, Hendrik, thank you for joining us today. You could chime in on this, that'd be awesome.
Thanks so very much. I take your point, Peter. Definitely, this space has been very valuable for us, and I take the point that each business scales differently. If I look at where Ethan and I are at, we're just past the 2-year point. And we've really just only figured out, and I think I've said this before, what it is that our product is and that we can do, and that there seems to be a need for. And I hear that one has to network and do collaborations, and we've been doing that, and we've been meeting some real nice people that fit in with our energy and our vision and our passion, and there's some real good synergy with certain people. But there does come a point when you scale when you do need money. And I don't think we need to be, and this for us is a challenge because, we started this with sweat capital, and we're at the point now where we need a team. We have started to put a small little team together, but we need a few more people to make this whole thing work and be as profitable as we think it can be and projected to be. But my question is, how does one go about any small business, any entrepreneur that doesn't have access to capital? How do you go about, what are the avenues that you can explore? Perhaps you don't have, any things the bank could attach later to get their money back, surety and those sort of things. What are the other alternatives that are out there for entrepreneurs that want to scale and that need a budget to get to the next step?
I love this question, Hendrik, because I do get told I can think outside the box. So a couple of different ways I've seen it done is bartering, as long as it's a win-win for both sides. Another one is internships. I actually started as a VA as an intern in my business when I was a virtual assistant first, and I'm literally onboarding some interns to work in my business right now. So yeah, there is definitely ways to, collaborations are another way to get work done in your business. But yeah, getting creative with that is an important way to help you grow, because yes, sometimes it's just not about the money and you don't have the money, but you're like right there at that breakthrough and you need a little help to get through it. So I love that. Hendrik. Lesetha, did I get it right? Close.
Not bad at all. Very, very, very close. And thanks to Peter for helping you out earlier. Look, I'm not going to comment on Hendrik's question because I do not have an answer to that. But just getting off, from what Peter said about networking and getting a group of people together that you can grow your business. I mean, that's very, very valuable. And what Peter said as well, that it depends on your business. Where do you want to, in which direction do you want to grow to? Businesses are different. You may be wanting to grow in your bank account. You may be wanting to grow in the number of people you have. You may be wanting to grow in the impact that you're making to your clients and stuff like that. But I think the basis thereof is you need to identify, your value proposition. What is it that you've got that you're going to offer to your client, to whoever? Okay, so you need to do that, because I think most of the time when we talk about growth strategies, we tend to waver off to marketing strategy, which are two different things altogether. So your growth strategy is the ever-encompassing strategy that you have, and from that you can have your other strategies, including your marketing strategy. So you just need to identify where you want to grow into, and then what your value proposition is. Yeah, that's Lesetha Mokou from Litmoc, your business development agent. Thank you.
Thank you, Lesetha. Yeah, very, very interesting. It's a different way. Anyone got a 7-year-old? Live TV. Danny, go. I'm so sorry. Sondra, could you take this for a second, please? I am actually going to have to go and let them in.
Okay, not a problem, James. Yes, we love our little people. They make life fun on a daily basis. Mine's not so little. She'll be 16 this week. So, but I have new littles. I have the next generation of littles. They will be here next week, so that'll be fun. Miss Niki, I know you are growing, so you obviously have a growth strategy. Come on in.
Hi everybody. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much of a strategy as just sort of wandering along as usual. Actually, that's a lie. I have developed, I've become a bit of a strategist, and that is because of the collaborations and partners and friends that I've made along the way. So my little business is scaling actually quite dramatically, quite big at the moment. And what I always do, you know, I listen to my dad used to teach me a lot of things. So a lot of it's in my LinkedIn profile and whatever other profile, you know. And one of the things he always said to me was, you know, do what you do best and hire the rest. And so I've changed that because these days it's different. So I've said, you know, to do what I do best and collaborate with the rest. And over the last sort of, I would say, 2 to 3 months since June, I think, yeah, when I was in Cape Town, I have actively sought out people that I need to sort of where my vision is, that I know that their vision almost marries up with it in a similar way and can do the things that I can't do, and I can do the things that they can't do comfortably. So, I mean, I can build a website. I've done it before. I can do social media marketing. I'm certified in all those things. I just don't want to do it because it's not my passion. My passion is networking. It's talking to people. It's hooking people up. It's all that. So what's happened is that the people that I have encountered along the way and are on the same path as I'm on, we have now, in some cases, we've actually formed partnerships, proper partnerships. I actually do have one. Her name is Mary Hall. I'm hoping you'll all meet her at some stage quite soon. She lives in Brighton, but she's from Northeast England, same as me. Please no, not knocking the Brits today, because, you know, we did produce me and Mary. But yeah, so what I have to say, I must just say that my business, apart from the the subscriptions that I pay to networking platforms, hasn't cost me a cent yet. And the growth, because I don't, you know, have any money. But I also don't like borrowing money. So I haven't done that. And in the collaborations that I have made, and the collaborators, I should say, and relationships that I've made, that have become partnerships and sort of preferred suppliers almost. It's kind of and that's why I have Mary, because she explains it a lot better than I do. Is that is not like what Sondra said and what we all know is an energy exchange and that sort of thing. but we're also then referring people because we've used each other and we know what each other can do. So in my space, my business growth is growing slightly exponentially. It's like a big word, I know, for Monday, but it's because of people I have worked with, collaborated with, and now in some cases partnered with formally, and it's quite an exciting thing. So it's just one way to go. I'm Niki Marshall, soon to be renamed, but YNate at the moment, and yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Niki. Very, very nice to see you again. My child is inside now, so that's better. Hopefully there'll be no more interruptions, at least on my end this evening. And we'll get on with this highly professional show. I'm going to move on straight to Peter. What else do you have for us, Peter?
I actually want to go back to the question that Hendrik asked, because I think we underestimate that space. And I think it was an incredibly valuable question to ask. And I think if we can sit and actually take the time to pick it apart and answer that question, then we'd be doing ourselves a huge favor. So do we get to a point where we need finances in our business in order to scale? 100%, 100%. I think it's inevitable. But as entrepreneurs that are starting out and don't yet have that capital, you've got to create that baseline, that starting point. And I mean, I could answer this in a very simple way, where I could go, if you are scaling your business and you need a particular skill in your space, Hendrik, what skill would you need? Let's say, if you had the money and you were purchasing a skill right now, what skill would that be?
It would be somebody who is a specialist who knows how to sell online.
Great.
Not your regular salesman, but a very specialist online, not marketing, but a specialist online sales guru.
And what would you have in your arsenal of expertise to offer that person that would make it lucrative for them to be in your space?
I think it is a very high value kind of person. That would very specialized kind of person. So bartering and that sort of stuff all works fine up to a point, but there's certain things that you need to pay for. Google ads you got to pay for, these sort of things, and somebody like that's going to come in, it's going to do something for you and leave, and have the thing in place, and solve the problem and make sure your website converts and it sells easily, and and knows how to market that in a way that it does that. There are those kind of specialists that one needs at some point. And then also you need the security of a team to know that I can pay these people for at least a year and implement a plan that will make enough money so I could somehow pay back that loan or whatever it was and grow my business further from there, which is more stable, as opposed to I can do like a 4 months, but I'm not sure if I can afford you after that. And, and we're all in that position where we want different things, but there's no real stability in an office. And here's my staff and let's go for this seriously and make 25 million turnover in the year, which is quite possible, but not at this scale where we are now.
True. I think if we look at every single space and every single industry and all the different skill sets, there are always people that are starting out. It doesn't matter what skill it is. If you're looking for that particular person that's got like 10, 15 years experience, you're going to pay for that experience. But there are always people that are starting out on that journey, and them lining up with you and you lining up with them, that's what creates that baseline. That creates the space that you can move into being able to afford the person that you actually want to hire to do that job. So I think there's always a strategic way of stepping into a space and going, we really line up. We can get this done together. I can do this for you. You can do this for me. And it takes me to the next stage of my business, which creates something that you can now we can look at something bigger. Now we can look at something more substantial. Now we can look at. So I think being strategic about intentionally meeting those people becomes very important, because if you skip that step, you're going to pay. No questions asked. But I love that question. I think that was very important.
I love that, Peter, because sometimes when you stay around the people that do the same thing as you can get stuck because you can't help each other. So being around people that have other expertise to complement you is extremely important, which is also why we love our community, because we give that space already. So that's an amazing option too. Mikey, how are you today? Come on in.
I think is it Mikey? You're asking Mikey or Niki? I'm just checking.
Mickey, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you. I'm sorry, sir.
All right. I actually have a question, interesting for Niki, and it's actually open to everyone. But Niki's feedback just made it pop in my head. So when it comes to this matter or where sharing skills with someone who can provide you something that you need, and you can provide them something they need, and then through synergy help each other. Yeah. So the question I have, and Peter was also alluding to it as well, but then how do you know, or where do you draw the line as to the fairness of that, and if one is giving more than the other, and one is taking more than the other? Because my concern around that model is it's not too easy to quantify. So although you give and take, but usually life works out that people want to take more and give less. It's human nature, and then you could end up in a predicament that you wanted some help with particular skill that someone has, and they wanted some of your, but you end up giving a lot more and not getting as much in return. And yeah, like how can you mitigate and address that sort of thing?
It's can repeat. Is it okay if I answer? It's actually the reason I had my hand up, so I can lower that now. Lower the hand. I'm going to give you for me, I'm going to give an example. I was actually going to respond to Hendrik. That's a real interactive one today. Just with regards to this exact thing about getting started and not being able to afford. So if I can understand you correctly, Hendrik, you were saying that you, when Peter asked the question, that you would like a very high-end, very focused online salesperson and I'm presuming it's for your membership, for your mentorship program. Am I correct or am I incorrect? Is that right? Okay, so you can't afford that and no one's going to give you that on an energy exchange. However, the way I see things is in stages. So I would look at it, and I'm in a similar situation. I actually spoke to Ethan this week very briefly because I want to do your mentorship program and I can't afford it right now. And so my my hand was up because I was going to say, if you had a stage one sort of scenario, which is sort of not perfect, but could get you there, I know a lot of people, and I'm very proud to say that, and I have made a lot of relationships in the networking space, in the professional space around the world who need your program. They need your membership program, and so do I. I really do need it. And so what I would do is I would sit down with you and see if you were open to that kind of a thing where, I would provide enough people who would take your, do your program to cover the cost of me doing it. And also me doing it, nothing sells better than me raving about something that I actually know about, because I don't rave about things that I don't know about. Because anyone who knows me is that I would be so rich right now if I didn't have these bloody ethics, but I do, and I hate it sometimes. But I do believe in agreements, and I do have agreements with people, just, and I know they wouldn't stand up in court, but I'm not that. I like to sleep at night. That's my other saying. So in answer to, oh my gosh, whose question was it? Mikey, was it you? Yeah. So it does happen where you get taken advantage of. It's happened where I've been taken advantage of. So be it. If I'm just like, if someone wants to take advantage of me and it helps them get along the way, so be it. But you only get to do that once. And it generally kind of, you know, everything evens out along the way. And then going back to just with Hendrik's step 1, step 2 and his levels there. So once you reach a stage where you've actually got, and you know your numbers, but X amount of people who are actually doing and are doing your mentorship course, you will be able to actually afford your high end, or you will be able to find someone that you can train and not have to out-train their bad habits into your thing. But you're not going to get that without me, just saying, or someone like, well, actually me. I don't know if that answers everybody's questions. Mikey, yes, no?
Yeah, it does, but it's a bit of a scary answer because you are conceding to potentially being taken advantage of.
You know what? Everyone gets taken
yeah.
advantage of, Mikey. It happens. But, you know, here's the thing. If you can sleep at night, you're going to be fine. And the people that take advantage of you, honestly, they in the grand scheme of things, they are the smallest percentage. And they always get found out. It really happens that way. I promise you. I do not have contracts in place. I do not do the usual connector thing where I've got retainers and I make people sign on a dotted line and I'm getting paid. It happens. So if you've got your ethics, if you've got your authenticity, people get to know you. Yes, it takes a while, but honestly, I only started doing this work in January this year. And I do it because it's fun, but I'm also doing it because it's helping other people, but it's helping me and my family. So yeah, you've got to take a risk. Yes, there is an element of not being, you've got to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Peter, help me out. Non-stupid.
Yeah. Like naive.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, don't be naive. If you want to chat about it, Mikey, at some stage, really, honestly, I've worked this way my whole life and yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so there we go. I'll talk to you now.
Thank you, Niki and Mikey. It's all good. Just let you guys conduct everything yourselves, I think, at this point. Far easier. It makes my job much easier. It's, I think, yeah, you're always going to run the risk, I suppose, of someone taking advantage of you if there's an element of trust. But trust is so important in forming any kind of long-term business relationship. So it's very, very important that is there, and that's the only way to maintain some sort of longevity in it. Sthabiso, please. Are you there in the top left-hand corner?
Everyone, I'm sorry for the picture there. My network is really horrible today. But I think the one part that, like, a lot of us in this conversation kind of is happening over there. Yes, we need specific alignment with the people that can actually add value to our organization for the decisions we want to do.
Sorry, Sthabiso, we can't hear you. Are you able to come right nice and close to your mic? Otherwise, we won't be able to.
Okay. Is it better now?
No.
Oh, sorry. Now?
That was clearer.
Okay. Can I just keep you here now?
That's better. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. As I was saying, I think a lot of us are just overlooking something here. I'm not sure if you already discussed it because I came in a bit later on. Just apologies for that as well. But I think that we need to understand that every single business has different dynamics in play. So Hendrik's business might just need someone who's really specialized in sales in order to actually help it grow and actually be where it wants to be. And someone else's business might just need the finances. Someone else's business might need this and that and that. But the biggest problem is that all of us, yes, do need different things. And there's no one best answer, one best way to do things. However, regardless of what we want and think we want, it is very risky to just go for that without actually having sat down first and evaluated all of the factors and dynamics at play that actually influence every single thing that we actually want to do within this decision right here to get this person and get those funds. Because do we get this money? Great. how exactly do we make sure that it optimizes the value they can generate? How exactly do we know that if we get this person right here, will they be able to add the value into the enterprise to get it to where it actually wants to be? Do we get to actually influence, like analyze all of these factors first? Because maybe if we do, then maybe we'll be able to realize that, okay, the person here can add value, the strategic partnership here can add value to us, and we can also add value to them, but it would also be stifling that value there, that value there, that value there. So I'm alluding to just that the most important part, maybe in my opinion, and I would actually like to get some input in this as well from everyone here. The strategic alignment is important, but the most important part of all is the planning phase. Planning accordingly and evaluating the entire decision and everything that we want to do. Just evaluating all the dynamics at play. Is that the most important parts according to your guys' books as well? And how do you view that?
Thank you for that question. My opinion is you can plan and review all you want, but at some point you have to take the leap and do it. So I definitely feel that, yes, there's, planning and accountability coaching that goes together. So as far as my realm, but at the same time, you have to take action. Ritchie, you want to weigh in on that or something else, or let's get your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks a lot. Quite a lot to unpack there. There's quite a few things that have been covered. Very valuable, I think, contributions. Maybe just to start off, I think, with the last one, I think, I think you're right, Sondra. I think you can plan all you want. I think where Hendrik is coming from, I can tell Hendrik is very clear. He's done the planning. He's very clear. He's got clarity of exactly what he wants to achieve, right? He's now talking about the funding. Where does that come from, right? And that's where, and that is the gist of that question. So it's not so much about the planning. I think he has planned. He's got that clarity. Now, where do we get that asset that we're looking for to cover that? There's this gap. Now, how do we fill that, right? And there has been quite a few contributions. I think Peter raised a very good one, Niki. And just maybe on the back, maybe just answer on the back of what Mikey as well asked on about being taken advantage of in case of collaborations, because I think this is one thing that was a very common thread that came up from Peter's contribution and from Niki's contribution. I think that is very valuable in a situation, especially when we're looking at funding in the case of business for us to keep on growing. At the end of the day, we need to keep on growing because the moment we stop growing is the moment we start dying. So every business has to strategize and put its stuff in place to ensure that we can grow. And how do we do that? I think in my case, I look at collaborations, yes, very, very key. I'll give you an example. In my case, there was one piece I was just doing quite recently. I had a team come to me and they offered me a collaboration with a goal. They told me, right, we're going to get you, how about we get you 10 clients? You don't pay anything, right? You don't pay anything. We get you 10 clients. And after that, we can have a discussion, right? So how did that come about? It's not so much that I had maybe the funding or the money to start paying this agency to do that, right? But it's about having those conversations. Then you sort of like open up and they're likely going to come up. Being taken advantage of, back on what Mikey asked, in this environment, we can only control what we can, right? We cannot control the other party, as Niki indicated there. You know, having good sleep at night is very, very important. And in my case, I always look at giving more value than I receive, saying cash value. So for instance, that is my principle. Right? It doesn't matter if I give more value than the person actually gives me, it doesn't matter, right? What do you lose? You lose nothing, right? But what you gain is your integrity, right? And you sleep better at night, right? It's more about that integrity and the value and the impact that you bring to the marketplace, not so much what you can get from somebody else. And it's about looking at it from that different angle. What is it that I can give? As entrepreneurs, as business people, we're there to serve, right? Not so much about what I can get. So that's how I look at it. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Thank you, Ritchie. Addressing every bit of the conversation so far tonight. Very valuable. Thank you very much for that insight. And back to Peter, please.
I'd like just to return to something that was learned in the very beginning of the Mancosa Ignite program. In the beginning of the Mancosa Ignite program, 30 students all getting together, being told that they were going to be measured on their ability to communicate with each other, to communicate with their coaches, how they would allow the coaches to communicate with them, building a very tight-knit community of students that were all there to communicate with each other, support each other, grow and develop. And the results were seen at the end of the program, where we came to one space. There was a graduation. Mikey happened to be the winner of that space. But if you take a look at the support of the community in getting Mikey to that space, Mikey didn't get there on his own. He got there with the support of an entire community of students, which is a very small scale of what this community is. So this community has got people from around the world with different skill sets, all with the mentality of we are a community. And we all work together and we grow together and we step into spaces that are way bigger than any one of us individually, because we can as a group. So I would like to see somebody step into this space and take advantage of me when these are the people that I'm surrounded by. So if you revert back to what a community actually is and how it functions, nobody in this community would dare to take advantage of anybody, because everybody would know. Don't work with this person. They're just going to take advantage of you. Those are not the kind of people we want to surround ourselves with. We want to surround ourselves with people that are there to build each other, where there's growth, where there's development, where your success is my success and my success is your success. So if you base your thinking on a community, not just cold networking with somebody that you think, oh, that person has the skills I need, let's try and do a business deal. That's cold business. We want to do business in a space where it is warm, where the person that you're speaking to is your solution, you may be theirs, and strategically you line up, but you're doing it within the safety of an actual community that holds people to a set of values. The likelihood of you being taken advantage of is mitigated a lot. Does it completely remove that risk? No. But the person that does take advantage will do it once in a community space, and they will never get the opportunity to do it again, because everybody will be like, oh, sorry, that does not line up with our values. We don't do business that way. We're here to support, build, grow, teach, learn. We're fun entrepreneurs, and those are our values. If you can build those values into a community, along with that comes the safety of functioning within that space. So we've had entrepreneurs step into our space and go, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. Let's build relationships. Those people are naturally building the relationships that they need, and they are growing because of the relationships that they've built. They have to actually put in the work of building the relationships. But then we get people that step into this space and they see all the relationships, and their thought process is, how can I take advantage of all this whole group of people? What can I get from them? How far do you think they get? No way. They get absolutely no way, because we all have the same values. We all see it for what it is. So you can mitigate that risk. But if you're stepping into a cold space, you're going to get taken advantage of. That's just what it is. So I think there's a lot of power in this space. And because your success is my success, for me to devalue you and give you less than what you're giving doesn't make any sense, because I need you to succeed. So the power of community. Work in a space where you feel you are safe, surrounded by people that are there to support you. That's it. Powerful.
I love that, Peter. Definitely was one of the reasons that attracted me to Explore ProTech, because yeah, I had that feeling within the first 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, life's going on, but I'm going to join. And then I'll get back to you in a minute as soon as I get done with some life stuff. And, Nistine and Peter were like, yep, that's fine. Do your membership. Like, we're here when you're new, when you need it. And when I've had to step away due to life things, they're always there in the background going, hey, we're still here. We still got your back. And I think that, definitely review your communities every 90 days to 6 months, because things change. And I've been in communities where their direction didn't fit my direction anymore, and you have to part ways. We're not saying don't review and that, every community is a right fit for you, because, it's your own ethics, it's your own, your business. So definitely review, definitely learn, trial it like we do here. We have a trial where you can do a trial period, date the tribe, so that you can see what it's like before joining. It's not, come pay, and then you can peek in behind the curtain type thing, which I do think makes us unique. Love that. Love that. Hendrix, we've been talking about you. Come on in. Hendrik Baird. Yep. Yes, sir.
Me.
Yes.
Back to me. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I kept on not introducing myself, so I'm Hendrik from Baird Media. If you want to start a podcast, come join our mentorship program. So that's out of the way. I quickly want to talk to Mikey about agreements. We Ethan and I had a few nasty experiences, and we don't do energy exchanges. Unless you can give us electricity, we're not interested in the other kind of energy. So if there is value for both parties in exchanging services, we put that down on paper, because one of the biggest problems is scope creep. We've spoke to somebody once who said, look, I can't tell you it's going to be like 5 episodes a month, and then so much, and then next time we spoke it was double that. Like, hang on, we're not going to work full time for you, and what you said was going to happen, it's become more. Hang on. So we just put it down on paper and have an agreement, and then there's an understanding, and we both know what the expectations are. And I want to come back also to what Sthabiso said. So what we did recently is we thought, what would our business look like in 10 years? What do we want it to look like? We want to have nice big office. We want to have about 20, 25 staff, full-time staff, maybe 15 part-time staff people. We farm things out to nice boardrooms, some nice studios where we can do some consultations in private, and studios, the logo at the top. So we are doing visualizations to help us to, experience that, and using some hypnosis techniques and all that nonsense that I know something about. And then we've reversed engineered that. That's what the process we're doing now. To get there, what are the steps we have to take to get 25 million a year in turnover? And what does that mean practically? How many things do we have to sell at what price? And this is step 1, 2, 3 of that process. So this is part of a whole big plan that we have, and that we're also formalizing, and we're making some changes to get other people on board to help us to figure out the budgets for this also, because our biggest challenge is we are artists. Give me 8 hours and I'll write you a fantastic radio play. Give me 3 weeks, I'll write you a book. Give me a budget, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I need somebody to help me with that. So Susanna's coming on board, and it's going to help us to do the projections and show what our 10 years plans are, so that we can take a proper business plan based on our 2 years of experience and experimentation, and have that. And then our plan is to do a very targeted approach. Between Ethan and I, we know 10 rich people, I am sure. If we put our heads together, we'll find names of 10 friends and family that has money that we can go and pitch to and say, look, we need X amount. Are you willing to invest? Here's our agreement. We've tested it, blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of our plan going forward. But we do need cash. We do need some cash at some point soon to really give us the oomph. Because again, I saw in one of the comments here, I'm not trying to create a job for myself. I am 60. I want to retire and go and travel the world. Please, I want to be a business owner with a very successful and lucrative little business run very well by very competent people that I just check in once in a while, my 4-hour work week ahead and permanently travel and come and visit all of you all over the world. I'm warning you, James, I'm coming. I'm Hendrik from Baird Media. You can hear the podcast version of this. Just go to my website, baird.media.
Very welcome you would be, sir. It's very nice and warm here at the moment. Probably recognise it. Probably a little bit warmer than South Africa, I'd wager. Don't worry, that won't last. Thank you very much, Hendrik. Lovely to hear that. And coming to Carolin.
Hey, yeah, so I've been listening to all of this, and I have maybe a bit of an unorthodox way of doing business, but for me, it's really all about like building inner clarity. So the first is really to build inner clarity, and I think everything else comes from the inner clarity. You know, you have to be clear within yourself. What do I really value? Where am I really going? What kind of people do I want to work with? And my experience is if I have full inner clarity on these things, if I really have that sorted within me and I've worked through the obstacles that are coming up and the fears and the challenges, then I don't really have to worry about much because I automatically meet the right people. They just come into my life. The more clarity I have, the easier it is to just attract the right people to yourself. And I just trust my gut. I've had very, very few in my whole business life. I've been running my own businesses for 15 years now or something. I've had, I think, 2 or 3 bad experiences in all those years. And other than that, I've just met all the right people. And I feel that it's really about finding that alignment. You know, you find alignment with your values and your vision because you and yourself are very clear on your values and your vision. So when you meet someone, you can find out if they're aligned with you. And if you're aligned, you know, fully aligned on values and vision, then normally it just works out really well. That's my experience. So I just wanted to bring that in as a bit of a different angle.
Oh, don't forget to tell us about your cause, Carolin.
Oh, yes. So thank you. I'm Carolin from Women Who Impact, taking a motorbike journey across Africa to highlight women-led social innovation all across Africa.
Love it, love it, love it. And I always love your cause, so we want to make sure we highlight that. Yes, I definitely think knowing your true vision and your own ethics and your own values will help you align with people because then you know what you're looking at and looking for in other people. So definitely love that, love that. We have a few more minutes. Does anybody else have anything? Come on in, Miss Niki.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to, you know, one of the comments I've also just written in the chat. I'm not a charity worker. That's one thing for sure. I'm not a charity worker. I don't just help people willy-nilly. What I do for a living, which I, you know, with the referrals and, you know, with connecting people and actually now brokering sort of different business ideas between different companies or different businesses, doesn't cost me anything but time. And it's such a joy for me anyway. I enjoy it. So if I can be French about it, I do it for shits and giggles half the time anyway. But saying that, I do have a little bit of common sense now that I have learned over the past year since y'all first met me. And I am not, I don't just, you know, I know when someone's taking advantage of me and I cut them right out. I have done it. And I am, you know, I'm not bothered with people like that. And I put into the chat just now that I am happy to I have got referral agreements in place. I do believe in agreements. At first I was all sort of, oh no, I don't need it because I trust you and everything, but it's actually for my kids. Because if something happens to me, I want to know that agreement and my business goes to my kids or goes to the person. And that was a lawyer friend of mine in Dubai, South African girl, yes, who told me that. She said, don't be daft, put your referral agreements in place because that will then, you know, carry through into your business. And, you know, it doesn't just, so anything that comes after my passing will go to my kids to a point. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that people will always try and take advantage. And yeah, anybody who's been in business for any length of time is going to figure that out. The majority of people don't, and sometimes people just need that hand up, not a hand out, to get them on their feet again, especially after COVID. Wiped so many people out. I've got so many friends that I've made around the world, really, especially women, and COVID wiped them out, and men as well. I mean, like plenty businesses, and it's not that poverty mindset. It's not that chronic sort of thing. It is situational. Sometimes that's all someone needs is a hand up, not a hand out. And I'm happy to do it. If my little tiny network can help somebody, I'm happy to do it. And what does that give me? It gives me pleasure. It gives me a good feeling in my heart, but also it makes someone say, well, you know what Niki did, and I don't ask for it. And then every now and again, and I do get paid. I get paid. I mean, I didn't used to ask for money, if you remember. And now I'm like, no. So I do get paid, and that far outweighs, but I do a lot more for free than I get paid for, but the money is fine and it makes me feel good. So I just don't want you to think I'm some kind of sort of total willy-wally person who's just like, giving my business away for free. I do it because I love it, and I finally have what I love, and it makes me very, very happy. So I just want to say that.
I mean, isn't that what we all want from our businesses, really? You get that feeling of well-being, and that you're finally in the right place, and that's a wonderful thing to have come to. That's about as good as it gets. Do we have any final thoughts? We've got literally about 2-3 minutes to go. Mikey, you're up there in the top left again.
Yeah, just a quick one, because I know the theme for tonight's discussion is on scaling. And Hendrik was, a prime example with his business. But and I know Peter mentioned about some needing to assess, knowing when to scale and not needing to scale. Quick one is, could you perhaps get, to validate your need for scaling in the market in comparison to competitors and the like? Get advice. Have maybe a third party, an outside party, actually, ideally, look at your business and look at the market and help you decide whether you need to scale, and if so, by how much, or if you may not need to scale, or you may not be ready to scale. There may be some other factor within the market that you may not be aware of that could put you at risk if you did scale up, etc.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Mikey. Yes, having an outside person look in, because sometimes people closest to you won't see the full picture. So yes, having somebody that's outside of the circle to see the full picture. I know with my clients, that's something I can do. I can see the bigger picture versus, they're in it. When you're in it, it's really hard to see. So yes, I do think that is a very much a good way to know if you need to scale or not scale. And some people don't want to scale. Some people are happy with where they're at, and that's no problem. Like, I'm like, that's your goal, then you're meeting your goals. Like, rock on, live your best life. Like, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't want a multi-million-dollar company. I know the headaches that go with stuff, that kind of stuff. So Peter's like, I want a multi-million-dollar company. I'll let Peter have it, and I'll like be over here cheering him on. So for sure. Carolyn, I'll go ahead real quick, and then we will wrap up.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this, the principle of natural giving. I love this principle it comes from nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg. And it's this idea that you give what you want to give because it feels good to give, and it feels good if somebody else receives it. And I must say, some of the most satisfying work I've done in my life has been volunteer work, because the people I volunteered for really needed it, and they could definitely not pay for someone like me to help them. But I also think there's a much bigger balance there, where these things, what goes around comes around. It doesn't always come back from the same person, but it comes back from someone else or somewhere else. And I found that there is an overall balance in life. So if I give a lot on one side, I receive a lot on another side, and it always works out. And I've built a massive big network like this, doing these things. And from that, I can scale my business to any size I want. I happen to not be big into scaling, but like anyone can, if you've got a good network, that's definitely a plus point for scaling and growing your business.
Love that, Carolyn. What do you think, James? I think we're towards the end of our show. Any thoughts? And then I will do announcements.
We are. Yeah, bang on again. It's another topic which could go on and on. I've loved today. It's been very, very easy, except for the chaos in my house, which was, again, I'll just quickly apologize. But everyone has moderated this meeting themselves, basically, just going back and forth with interesting and useful questions, which is exactly what we're here for. It is about a conversation show. So thank you very much to everyone for participating. And it's been fun as usual. Do join us again. Same time, same place next week. I've been James Brown, your voiceover with soul from jamesbrownvoice.com. And Ms. Sondra Ray.
Yes, definitely. Yes, same time, same place next week. And you can book a coffee chat with all of us in the show notes. Miss Susan, our amazing person, will put all the notes below, and she will put all our links so that you can follow us and have one-on-one conversation with us, because we are all amazing people. Thank you, Miss Susan, for doing the notes. Thank you for everybody that was on YouTube Live. I do chat with people on YouTube while they are watching the show. So I love the conversation we were having over there. And we are now on Spotify as a podcast. So you can go listen and make sure you share the YouTube, make sure you share the Spotify. We want to help you grow as you help us grow. As Miss Nestine says, may all your wildest entrepreneurial dreams come true. See you next week.